Oh, it's time. Time to get radical.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Radical Comment of the Week for December 15th through the 21st, 2020. These are the very best comments from that time period. Starting out with the honorable mentions, we got Rasta Populous, CM Retro Gaming, and Phoenix Splash TV. The bronze medal comes to us from Logic Cost. Dior Fahrenheit has a gasoline note to it. I think it's a polarizing cologne myself, but many swear by it. A victim of reformulations, apparently. As far as the One by Dolce & Gabbana, the EDT version does not last, but has a great scent. The EDP version, which I have, is a winner. It lasts a bit longer and has an updated scent profile. Improved dry down as well. Are you thinking of Mont Blanc Explorer? I can confirm that one is a good one. Bought it for my father. Or perhaps Individuel? That's an older one discontinued, and I don't think it's something you'd wear. Smells like strawberries and other stuff. Explorer is meant to ape some of the characteristics of the niche king Creed Aventus. Aventus is far too expensive for daily wear, but special occasions? God sent. Perhaps a bit too well known nowadays though. It's been around 10 or so years. Explorer is a good dumb reach, especially for its price. An excellent barbershop scent is Christian Dior's Eau Savage EDT. Suffers from reformulation, but one of those scents you wear just to smell yourself, not to be confused with the one Johnny Depp is used in an ad campaign for, which is a modern classic, but not something I'd wear for most of the time. I'll shut up about colognes after I recommend 3 King Often scents. Chanel de Blue Chanel EDT Classic, Giorgio Armani Acqua di Gio Profumo EDP Modern Classic, and Dunhill Icon EDP cheap one that gets slept on. Well, I've never heard of Dunhill Icon, but the other two are, classics, right? I could probably add in Polo Blue there, since you smell a lot. Cool Water, from, I think, Dadekhoff, whatever you say that. There's classics that people, I'll smell all the time on people. And for me personally, I don't like spending a lot of money on colognes. I just don't. Because chances are you might spend $200-300 on a cologne and you don't like it. Okay, you don't like it. The key is, generally we want to get colognes that maybe, well, let's be honest here. A lot of guys want to get colognes to get attention from the females. And you want to get colognes that might get you a little closer, or, it's kind of like a trick. If you smell really nice, a girl might want to get closer to you and talk to you, and that starts the close process, Same thing with a female and a, female with a nice scent, right? You might want to get a little closer to her, and maybe you're not as attracted to her as you think initially, but, it plays with your scent. You know what I'm talking about, right, fellas? There's maybe a girl that's maybe, 6 or a 7, but on certain days, she smells really nice. She becomes maybe an 8 or a 9 to you. And that's because it's messing, with your, with one of your senses, right? A lot of people forget that smell is a very powerful, it's one of the very powerful senses. It's not just all vision, right? Smell kind of works into things also. But I'm not going to talk about that. I can go into detail talking about that, but I'm going to tell you of what I have right now. I'm looking at, Coach Platinum, good scent. I've gotten compliments. The one, I really like it, but you got to put on a lot to kind of get noticed by the females. It's not that strong of a scent. So if you get it, you're going to have to put on maybe 6 or 7 sprays for it to last. The winner, I would say the gold medal of my colognes right now, the gold medal winner of my colognes is Mont Blanc. What the hell is this called? Mont Blanc. It's an I word. Fuck it. This is the second time I forgot it. I've talked about it before, but I forgot it. It's not Explorer, and I don't really have time to look it up, but it's the Mont Blanc. I would say anything from their line is really good, for the price. Again, I think it's an E word. Instinct? Is it Instinct? I believe. Yeah. But the one where the top kind of looks like an angle, kind of looks like a Y, and it's a chrome top and a black bottle. But yeah, good cologne talk there. Logic Cost. I think you know a lot more about colognes than I do, from the sound of it. The silver medal comes to us from Haddington Rose. I'd still say Tetris is the most influential game. It was the game that got non-gamers to play. People who were ready to write the industry off as a fad for kids. It was so popular that it had to be banned from office buildings. It also caused hours of work wasted, just like Doom. It was easily pirated on floppy disk and would automatically install into PCs and Macs. It was actually addictive enough that psychologists got involved. It has literally been put onto every console from Atari through PS5, with it basically being exactly the same thing. It's even on Texas calculators. Freaking calculators can play this game. It spun its knockoffs, of course, like Columns and Puzzle Challenge, but it also started the puzzle and learning genres. Made people realize that there was a longing for that. Don't need to spend hours playing a game, just a few moments, and go on with your day. People already knew people wanted to kill things in games back with Space Invaders or play with friends. Player 2 controllers existed before Doom. Pong was Player 2. Yes, Doom started the pirating it over the internet thing with a few clicks, but you know how much harder it was to physically take the pirated copies of Tetris around to different buildings around the world? Much more difficult than click, click, install that Doom has to its name. Tetris was so fun it had to be smuggled out of a country, out of a country the U.S. was literally at war with, admittedly a Cold War. Ugh, blue-balled for 30 years. Where was I? Oh, right. Tetris started gaming as a you got 10 to 5 minutes to kill. Hop on this and help your brain by having fun. Not the boring learn to add or read type either. The type that you won't even know when you're learning how many people have learned to pack a car or a suitcase because of playing hours of Tetris. Loads of them. There have been scientific studies on how helpful it is to play it. Doom studies were just about how violent it is. The entire phone gaming craze can be contributed to Tetris, and people wanting to play it on the go. Game Boy was a thing because of Tetris. Everyone has a simple puzzle games or their phones these days. Most may even have Tetris with it being free. Angry Birds? That's just another puzzle. Flappy Bird? Puzzle, get through the maze. Yes, first-person shooters may be what the gamers play, but the masses, they play the puzzles, and the reigning champion is, all the way from Mother Russia, the one and only Tetris. That's a strong argument for Tetris as being the most influential game of all time. You know, we look at games, I think a lot of people look more to the past and, what game influenced the future. You know, we talk about for fighting games, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. We talk about for shooters, Doom. We look at like what stays with us. And even though Tetris, it's not like a AAA game experience and, we don't have like a lot of copycats trying to copy Tetris, at least in like AAA, an argument can be made that when it comes to puzzle games on the go, it started with the Game Boy. Before mobile phones, there was the Game Boy. You talk about, and I didn't know a lot of this, how it had to be smuggled out of the country, how psychologists got involved. But then you can make the same argument for, the hours and hours people would spend on the arcades playing Miss Pac-Man. Pac-Man. Somebody came by and made a comment a couple months back on how Pac-Man had a very strong argument for being the most influential game of all time. Hell, you can look at Pong, right? Is a two-player game, right? What I'm saying is I don't think there's any definitive answer specifically because you can make arguments for lots of different games like Tetris, like Doom, there's so many. But I think this is probably the strongest argument I have ever read for Tetris being the most influential game of all time. Thank you, Haddington Rose. And the gold medal comes to us from Ektvar. Games in general have a problem with social power versus enthusiast balanced, tip too heavily towards social. A lot of these people are just buying it because it's the thing now rather than thinking about it logically. Also, bear in mind, a lot of potential buyers are parents buying for their kids so they don't have the ability to think this broadly about it. I guess a good comparison would be a rock star, where all the women are screaming in joy at the concert. Doesn't matter if he's mediocre, it just matters that he's popular, social power. This would also come with scalpers for tickets too, if there weren't laws against that. Speaking of, I believe in the UK was trying to make a law against digital scalping with bots due to the PS5 debacle. Okay, so compare that to comparison to the Game Boy, a system that's targeted at kids and is only used by kids and nerdos. There's not much social power there besides in the younger audience. Therefore, when they get excited for the Game Boy Advance, it's back with some reality. Honestly though, I stopped buying modern games because it's all infested with greed. So why would I need any console? I might pick up a PS4 so I can reap all the cheap games that are now available thanks to next gen. Also, I did actually buy one PS4 game, but I have to wait patiently to be actually able to play this masterpiece tier game, but it will be worth it. Or even potentially play around with custom firmware, just don't go online with hacks on. Still, what innovations have been brought to the table since 10 years ago, besides VR? SSD loading? Well, that's just the same thing but faster. And evolution? I can't think of nothing else. I think the technology is just stagnant. We could be having much faster machines if the cooling aspects were made from artificial diamond or graphite, but it's nowhere in sight. On the other hand, at least in the GPU sector, PowerVR seems like it will make a headway into ray tracing with a vastly more efficient solution that will blow anything existing out of the water coming in the consumer market. They're coming out of nowhere with a great chance of penetrating the duopoly, and not a single big tech YouTuber reported it. What's the point of this news regurgitation if you're always behind the curve? Well, it's for the immediate gratification, of course, with both the viewer and the reporter who gets spoon-fed info with no real work put into it. Which brings me to this video. The answer is immediate gratification. Nobody has been taught patience in this day and age, and a lot of the bad stuff prevents people from freeing themselves from whatever bad cycles they're trapped in. I can confidently say one of the major factors is sugar. When I threw away all the foods containing cane sugar, it was like a burden was lifted, and all of a sudden I was making better decisions, make better decisions outright easier. From a video I saw a long time ago, it inflames your body, but also your brain, which makes it very hard to quit because the inflammation makes it harder to change your habits, which leads to you eating even more sugar, which, you get the picture, a bad cycle of negative feedback loop. I think you did a video on junk food a few months ago. If a similar point was mentioned, then thanks for being one of the factors that helped me quit sugar, even going through work without feeling terrible because of this. Immediate, instant gratification. Talk about sugar, the cycle that people go through when they eat more sugar and more sugar and more sugar to get that immediate gratification. The thing, though, is there's a price you pay for that immediate gratification on your body. You gain weight, you become slower, you get fatigued, you have trouble because you keep having to get that sugar to get that same feeling. People on caffeine. Have you seen someone that has caffeine addiction? They're just bouncing all around the place, and they keep having to get that next hit. We could talk about drug addictions. But caffeine, argue, is actually a drug. What about all the people that were going crazy to get a PlayStation 5? Paying $1,000 before the holidays to get a PlayStation 5 so they could have one for Christmas. Well, now they're sitting with it, and they're thinking, what the hell was I thinking? Look at how much I paid for this PlayStation 5. Pretty soon it'll be readily available for half that price. And you wasted that money to get a PlayStation 5. Immediate gratification.